Let's get some reaction to his departure from the former Rangers striker. Kris Boyd joins me now. And Kris, any real surprise given the way the season has gone?
No, look, I don't think there's any surprise. If there is one, it's taken so long for it to happen. I think we first kind of spoke about this round about October time when we felt as if this was only going to go one way, and it's only got worse since then. You look at the last week has been, Philippe Clement has spoken about the games that the club have had, and having to play every Thursday, Sunday. He's had time on the grass the last few weeks when you take the Queen's Park game then into the Hearts and then the weekend there, and you can argue Philippe Clement mentioned it himself after Saturday. It was one of the worst performances, or the worst performance since he arrived. So in terms of the progression and where the club was going, it's no real surprise because the performances, for me anyway, have been getting worse throughout time, and Rangers Football Club have been left with only one choice, and that's to remove Philippe Clement of his role as manager.
When did it start to go wrong, do you feel?
I think last year, when you look back to what was it, March, April time last year, and Rangers obviously lost at home to Motherwell, but just after that, the 3-3 with Celtic, I think there was kind of, when you look back now, there was signs there, celebrating more or less drawing with Celtic in a must-win game. I don't think it's something you do as a Rangers manager. Then you go to Ross County and you obviously lose that game, and then in Dundee 0-0. It was a bad period of time for Philippe Clement. But you always kind of felt as if it was going to be a big summer for Rangers. The rebuild, the summer signings haven't been good enough. Then you lose, the Champions League qualifier to Dynamo Kyiv. That maybe you wouldn't have qualified for the Champions League, but that was £5 million that would have been able to help Rangers. But it wasn't to be. They lost out the whole Hampden thing at the start of the season. So there's been a lot of things that has been built up. It's been building to this point. But at the end of the day, I think as a manager, you are in control of you're not in control of what's going on, out with the pitch a lot of the time. But on the pitch, you are, and you look at Rangers in recent weeks, especially. Yes, they might be lacking in confidence, but there's no real style of play. They're just hoping something happens. The chopping and changing of the players, the amount of substitutions at half time. The summer signings that have now found themselves out the team, and also I think that the interviews after the game were telling. It was a comedy for the majority of time at Philippe Clement, especially this season, has been every interview he done. But I think come Saturday night there, you could tell that he was a broken man, and it was only a matter of time before Rangers decided that enough was enough. I think when you go back to last week, and obviously the club has spoken Patrick Stewart. But you've also got to take into consideration that the Rangers Football Club brand would have been damaged if this had continued, because you look at the empty stands at the weekend, the fans had enough. They were starting to the negativity was already in the stands. But when your stadium is more or less empty with still 10-15 minutes to go, I think it tells all you need to know.
Kris, just before I ask you who's next, is there not any mitigation for Philippe Clement? You mentioned the fact they couldn't play at Ibrox at the start of the season. They had to play at Hampden Park. He has had to lower the age and the wage bill of the squad. In Europe, Rangers to finish in the top 8 in the Europa League. That was excellent, was it not? Does he not deserve more time in that respect, or had it gone too far?
I always think, look, that Europe's a bonus for any club. It's a reward for what you've done the previous season. And yes, you can go and perform well, and it's been a distraction for Rangers. But let's not be kidded. Rangers are 13 points behind Celtic in the league, having already beaten Celtic as well, I must add. Out of the League Cup, lost the League Cup final to Celtic, out of the Scottish Cup to Queen's Park at home. It's the first time Rangers have lost to a lower league team, in the Scottish Cup. There's so many records being broken, wrong records, that records that you wouldn't want to break. That you just felt as if it couldn't go any further for Philippe Clement. Yes, listen, he deserves credit for European run. I think he was on a club record away from home in terms of Rangers being undefeated. There has been some performances that you could say that Rangers were on the right tracks but all of a sudden, the following week they would fall back into what we've became expected to. So erratic, the performances, and you can't, when you're trying to compete with Celtic and the consistency they've shown over a period of time, you can't have performances that Rangers have shown far too often this season. And the away form was really, really poor. For a period of time there, it looked as if they had maybe rectified that. Obviously, going to Tannadice and going to Tynecastle and winning, albeit the performances were Tynecastle average, but still managed to win the game. Tannadice, the second half was a bit better, but you're now losing games at home to teams that Rangers shouldn't be losing games at home to, and history tells you that. So I think for any Rangers manager, there is no doubt. Look, for me, Rangers were probably looking towards the end of the season. The takeover would be complete. The new owners would come in and they would probably look to, or they would hire the next manager. But as it stands right now, I don't think Rangers have been left with any choice, because, as I said, it's getting to the stage that it's starting to damage the brand.
Right, Kris, just before we go, finally, who next then? Given there is a potential takeover and investment, there's nothing really to play for apart from the European game coming up against Fenerbahce. Who should take over? And there's a lot of talk about your former captain, Barry Ferguson, today potentially being an interim manager. Is that something you would back?
Yeah, well, I think there's obviously there's a lot of rumours doing the rounds that Barry Ferguson and Neil McCann and potentially Billy Dodds as well as a team going into the end of the season. I think that's what it will be for me. An interim between now and the end of the season without groundbreaking news there, really, because I don't think that Rangers are going to tie themselves down to something long term when this takeover is imminent. So. You look at the bigger picture for Rangers, and you say there's nothing to play for. Yes, you've got the Fenerbahce game, but look, I think self-pride between now and the end of the season for a lot of players. Do they want to be part of the football club going forward? Because you look at the performances recently, and the manager will get the blame, but players have got to shoulder some responsibility as well. And you're right there, because of the rumours that's flying around in Glasgow last night into this morning regarding Barry. There's one thing that he's got is or he had as a captain is leadership, and I think that's something that the football club need right now. Is someone not only to connect with the fans, but obviously guide the players, through hard times. And Barry's done that in the past. And I'm sure if it is between now and the end of the season, he'll win. Somebody will need to steady the ship, get the fans back on side, and then the football club will go and try and build again, from the summer onwards.
Kris, thank you very much for your time and your reaction. And Kris is back with us on Sky Sports. On Sky Sports Football on Wednesday, it's the Kris Boyd derby, Kilmarnock against Rangers. He can't lose in this one. That one is live on Sky Sports Football at 7:15 on Wednesday.